We will start, though, as retailers in Northland, we're going to head up north, say they are giving up on reporting shoplifting and other crimes because they just don't believe the police will turn up. Some admit they don't bother filing reports anymore, while others say the system feels stacked against small businesses. One business owner warned that if crime keeps going unreported, police won't have the data they need to secure more resources for the region. According to police figures, the financial impact of retail crime is enormous. I mean, we have talked about this before. Shoplifting alone costing retailers $7.2 million per day, or about $2.6 billion a year. Northlands District Commander says police knew offending had been underreported in the past, but is still encouraging retailers to report to them, adding it is essential to get the full picture so police can prioritise prevention activities where there are trends emerging. Northland Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive is Leah McKerrow, and she joins me now. Leah, good afternoon.
Leah, good afternoon. And that's not an echo. Eh?
It's not. What's beautiful too, Leah, is our spelling of our names are the same. Because I didn't think Leah was difficult, but I don't know about you through your life, but have you had Leia, Leigha? Have you had?
I know, and you get the typo with lean, Lean.
Oh, lean.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I get lean all the time, which is not me, but yeah. So Leah,
and
lovely
the other funny thing is
yes?
there is another Leah in the Auckland Chamber of Commerce.
Oh. Okay.
And she too is amazing. There you go.
Maybe we should all catch up and have a Leah day. Why not?
Why not?
All right, this is in our leotards. We should move on. This is serious. Look, no, thank you for your time today, Leah. How bad is it really in Northland?
Well, that's a very leading question. I'd have to say that Northland is amazing. However, retail crime is as bad here as it is probably in the rest of New Zealand. The challenge for us, though, is it doesn't necessarily show that because, as you said at the beginning, a lot of our retail crime is probably going unreported.
Mm. You had a series of meetings, I believe, with small business owners around the regions in the past week or so. What did they say to you regarding this reporting or lack of reporting crime?
Yes, so there is a ministerial inquiry underway, and they are presenting the three things that have already been accepted by the government to go into legislation and presenting another couple of areas. But I think there was a fairly consistent message from retailers. It's a problem. It's not necessarily a local problem. When it's local, they may well be able to work with whānau or other agencies, but they do know that the resourcing are really stretched with police, and so more often than not, they just feel it's too hard.
Gosh. Well, Northlands District Commander says retail crime was taken seriously and that police would keep holding offenders to account, especially the more prolific ones. Does that feel like hollow words, Leah, to you?
Not really. I think that they have a challenging role in that they are needing to balance the more serious crime with this crime, which, and is costing New Zealand $2.7 billion a year, and shoplifting alone is costing $1.4 billion. It was interesting, one retailer said, I don't like the word shoplifting because at the end of the day it's theft. Yeah. And shoplifting didn't feel as serious as theft. And in some ways, I agree with him. Have we sort of just normalised it?
Yeah, that's a fair call. I suppose we've always said that because then we know that it's based in a place of a shop, right? When we say theft, it could be someone walked onto your property or took your car. Or,
that's right.
But I understand it, and but I understand what he's saying. That's an interesting one. Do you think retailers' frustrations were compounded by a directive earlier this year telling officers not to investigate thefts under $500, even though that policy was later scrapped after a backlash?
Yes, I suspect that I did wonder whether that was actually a policy or more of an internal encouragement in terms of managing resources more locally. But yes, there was a level of frustration, and then I think it sent the message that for those minor or perceived as minor shoplifting offences, that they don't bother. And the retailers did talk about that in terms of the difference between this more organised, shoplifting and retail crime versus the youth offending, which might be starting young, and it's stuff that actually needs to be dealt with, not necessarily by the police, but by the community.
With the perception that police won't attend a retail theft, do you think that is fueling more a brazen offending, or do we not know because it might not be reported?
Well, I think we can only surmise. I don't think we really know hard data,
No.
but you could actually you could actually sort of extrapolate the fact that if we're not reporting and yet the retailers are saying that the crime is still there, and they are doing other things themselves, by making sure that they're locking things up, they're making sure they're connected to others. And there's a range of things. A question that was asked, for example, in the far north, did crime spike when the Mangamukas were opened up? And it did.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was gonna talk to you about that. There was the So yeah, there's a link, do you believe, between retail crime or theft and Northland's infamous road closures. Can you elaborate on that?
Just goes on and on, doesn't it? Those road closures for all sorts of bad reasons. Yes, I think these are the ones that the police might label the transient offenders.
Okay, right.
And they travel through areas, they offend, and then they go back to their home environment. But that was one of the things that they raised as a reason why it's very important for us to report the crimes, because they see patterns of behaviour. Yeah. And through TV, through video coverage and things like that, they can actually start to identify where some of these more organised theft rings might be occurring.
Leah, I mean, I don't know how close a relationship you do have with the police in Northland, but I mean, I know in the past recently they have struggled with numbers and they've had to bring in, police from other regions to cover and then go back, and then they kind of bring more in. Is that still an issue? Do you know? And would that be one of the reasons they really are just stretched?
Well, I've been talking with the local area commander, Maria Nordstrom, up here, and the thing about the people that they're bringing in, these are the more senior investigative. Oh, it's a tricky word, isn't it? The superintendents who are needing to deal with the more serious crime, where they did have a spike in homicides, for example. So in terms of the actual beat cops, no, they're not under-resourced, but they are still resourced very tightly and need to actually make sure that they go where there is the need.
Law changes relating to retail crime are changing, we are told, or about to include enabling citizens' arrest, increased penalties for shoplifting and violence against business owners, and also bringing in fines for low-level shoplifting. What in your meetings with SMEs, with the shops, Leah, have got shop owners excited about these changes? Are they all good, do they say?
Yeah. Yes, I think they were all very positive, and we've got to remember that a lot of these reforms have come from the retailers themselves. Yeah, they have been asking for it. I mean, these laws were drafted originally. They've traced them back to 1908 or even earlier, right? So talk about fit for purpose. Yeah. So it's high time that these were changed, and those three things: the citizens' arrest, shoplifting, fines, etc., and trespass reform are all now going through legislation. The next phase that they're looking at is antisocial behaviour, and also looking at what can be done with facial recognition technology. And as you can appreciate, those two things can be fraught with more challenges. But the three changes that were presented had unilateral support from people. The fines, there was a little bit of skepticism as to whether that would change, because if you're finding somebody who doesn't have who's stealing because they can't afford to buy food, that's really not going to necessarily be the deterrent.
Yeah, no, I have to say when that did come out, Leah, I scratched my head on that one too. I thought instant fines in a supermarket or shop. I don't know who came up with that idea, because these aren't people that pay their fines normally.
That's right.
And even if they're not stealing because they're hungry, they're just stealing to order, or they're opportunistics and they do it. Slapping them with an infringement's just gonna. But then I was told, they won't pay them. They will end up in front of a judge. They'll get a long list of fines, and then eventually they'll go away. But would they? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Will they? And is that the best solution?
Yeah.
This is a really
to waste the
complex
court's time.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I see the trespass law reform. I haven't really spoken to a lot of people about that. But I saw that retailers in your area were quite excited about that. And what in particular do they like?